Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are. Welcome to the 2025 Prestige Global Meeting Sources Education Webinar Series. I'm Sasha Andreev, and once again, I'm going to be your host today as we explore today's topic, the critical role of revenue management in the sales process. Now, if this is your first time here, we're so glad to have you. And if you have attended previous webinars, we are thrilled to have you back. Now, we've been covering a variety of topics in this webinar series, everything from personal well-being to cruise ship contracting to networking to better communication skills. And it is all part of our mission to empower our clients. At Prestige, we have a rich history of offering a comprehensive support for event planners, everything from site selection to full event services. We leverage our global network of hospitality resources to benefit our clients. Our commitment to you is integral to our success. And since part of that success is to stay informed and inspired, we have been reaching out to many of our industry friends to share their expertise on the various aspects that affect your professional and even sometimes your personal lives. And so, without further ado, why don't we meet one of those friends right now? I would like to introduce today's presenter, Regional Director of Revenue Management at Hilton, Nicole Muraru. Nicole, welcome to the Prestige Education Webinar Series.
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here.
Well, Nicole, before I let you go with your presentation, I just want to kind of toot your horn just a bit. Now, Nicole has nearly 15 years of experience in revenue management. She's managed a variety of properties from urban and resort hotels to airport and suburban locations, including big group hotels like Hilton San Diego Bayfront and Hilton San Francisco. In 2018, her role expanded into overseeing a cluster of hotels in the Bay Area and Northern California. And about a year ago, she moved into her current position as Regional Director of Revenue Management at Hilton, in which she's one of 3 regional directors overseeing the West Coast. And fun tidbit, she's originally from Germany, having moved to the US in 2009, and Nicole holds a degree in hospitality from University of Leipzig. Did I get that right?
You got that right. Awesome. Thank you, Sasha.
Absolutely. I'm really curious, before you start your presentation, how did you get into the hospitality industry? What inspired you?
Honestly, I blame my parents. So they used to travel with me all the time, and I love to travel. And so, going into hospitality was one of those kind of obvious fields that I was so interested in because of the travel aspect, right? Like working in hotels, being able to see different hotels, being able to move around in hotels. That's really what inspired me to go there. The customer experience, the customer service aspect of it. But yes, it's all my parents' fault at the end of the day.
It's always our parents' fault about
It's
everything.
always our parents' fault,
Yeah, we
yes.
can hold our responsibility. And I know you're going to
Exactly.
be sort of giving us a peek behind the curtain of seeing how sales managers and revenue managers book things. Why is it important for the meeting planners in our attendee group to understand this sales and revenue management process?
I think it goes all back to being one team and really understanding how a hotel operates and, how we work together well to make the best for our clients, but also for our hotels. Right. So it's always about collaboration and ensuring that to understand, not just the one side of the sales aspect, but really like the other commercial sides within the business.
Right. Well, I'm excited to hearing what you have to say. And before I let you go, I just want to give a note to all of our viewers. During this presentation, and this is really important, Nicole is going to be throwing out some questions to you. So we have opened up the chat function for all of you to use. And we really encourage you to participate because Nicole is going to be offering some very cool giveaways during the presentation. So stay engaged, be ready to respond, and have those fingers warmed up. And if you do have questions during the presentation, there's a Q&A function below to message us. It will log those questions for us, and then we'll address as many of them as we can after the presentation. And as always, this is being recorded and will be made available for viewing in the Prestige Global Meeting Sources YouTube channel, so you can always reference it or share it later with colleagues who couldn't be here today. So Nicole, I'm excited to see what you have to say and have a peek behind the curtain. So take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Sasha. All right. If somebody can give me thumbs up just to make sure you see my presentation.
Sure do.
Awesome, very much. Well, thank you for having me. Welcome to everyone. Before we get started, I would like to know if you can put into the chat how long you've worked for Prestige, or if you work for one of the clients of Prestige, and how long you have been in your meeting planner role, just so I can kind of gauge a little bit of like, who we have on the call. I give that a couple minutes. 1 year, 13 with Medtronic. Welcome. Nice to see you. 15 years. Okay, awesome. 1 year. So we have a big range of people on the call. Great. So with this topic, we'll explore how integrating revenue management into the sales process drives a better outcome for both the teams and, most importantly, our hotels as well as our customers. So let's get into it. Oh, sorry. All right, so here's what we'll cover today. We'll start with a brief introduction, which we already covered, to revenue management. Then we discuss how sales and revenue management works together. We also look at why group business is essential, the tools and KPIs we rely on, and then we have some key questions that are being asked when group leads are being reviewed. So I think that will help all the meeting planners too to understand what we're actually looking at. And then to make it real, we're going to walk through a case study, and we're going to have a guest speaker for that. I brought on Melanie Fullow, who is our Director of Revenue for the Hilton Anaheim, and she'll walk us through a real business review, and then we'll finish with some Q&A and a quiz. So pay attention to these slides, as there will be some cues to what the questions will be. All right, let's get started. So before we go into what is revenue management, I want to kind of share with Hilton, we really talk about a one team aspect, and that's called the commercial team. And so within that team, we cover revenue management, sales, catering and events, as well as marketing. And so really this one team approach will help us make decisions better. We have good discussions around what we decide on what business we should take and what we should not take. And so it's a really important, that we're talking about, it's a one team that drives the hotel performance and makes these decisions together. All right, so let's go into it. So what is revenue management? So revenue management is about selling the right product to the right customer at the right time for the right price. All right, I'm going to say this again. Selling the right product to the right customer at the right time for the right price. Sounds maybe easy, but is not. And so we have quite a few of concepts that we use to do that. So we combine data analysis, market forecasting, dynamic pricing, and then managing the business mix to do that. Our goal is simple: to maximize revenue every day. To remember though, a hotel is perishable. So an unsold room today is revenue lost forever. And that's really the main goal, is that we have to maximize every day of the week to really drive performance for our hotels. And how do we do that? So how does sales and revenue work together? Sales and revenue management share a common goal, and that is to maximize the hotel revenue and the profitability. That means collaborating on pricing, inventory, and business mix. And the communication is key, not just for today's business, but for long-term strategies. So really, it's all about the communication between these two departments to ensure we make the right decisions. And so how do we do that? Here's how collaboration looks in action. Revenue provides data-driven responses and strategic advice on pricing and group placement, and sales provides real-time insights from the customer. Together, we tailor offers that fit the client needs, the market demand, and the hotel objectives. When it comes to Hilton, we think group business is essential. We really are focusing on ensuring that, we build this group because it's a key contributor to hotel profitability. It not just only builds the base occupancy and supports neat dates, but group create demand. It drives total revenue, not just rooms revenue, like we talk about food and beverage, AV, any ancillary spends. It enhances our market position in the hotels. And we are very much about driving the customer engagement because it brings repeat business, which makes it much more, even more profitable. And so going to our next slide. How do we do that? So we use integrated tools that help make decisions. And those tools are forecast and trend tools, sales systems, revenue management systems. We use a lot of BI, business intelligence tools like demand insights, as well as business evaluation tools. And here's my first question. There's key shared KPIs that we use. Anybody know what RevPAR stands for or what RevPAR means? Lots of guesses, please. Revenue per available room. Yes, correct. Thank you. So revenue per available room is one of those key shared KPIs. And then RevPAR index is revenue per available room compared to our competition. So we, as hotels, we have a scorecard that we get measured to our competition, and it creates a revenue per available index. So that's one of the key metrics that we're using to understand, if we're performing strong or not. Also, another key metric is total rooms revenue goals, like to budgeted goals, to forecasted goals. We'll look at group lead conversion rates. And then we look at profitability metrics. So those are some of the key successes for us, is to ensure that we're successful as we take those metrics and we perform against them. So I see there was some audio issues. I just want to make sure, can everybody hear me well? Okay, all right. Thank you. So here are the key questions that are happening at group lead review meetings. So when we are actually going into a review, and we will do one with Melanie in a second here are the questions that are being asked from not just the revenue management side, but also the sales leadership side as the sales manager comes into a business review. Is the group flexible with pattern or dates? What's the group rates and overall budget? Does the group meet the rooms to space ratio requirement? And what that means is essentially is saying that if you have 500 rooms that you want to place at any of our hotels, but you need the entire hotel's meeting space, does that work for us? And can we sell the remaining rooms of the hotel? Let's say it's a 1,000-room hotel, the remaining 500 rooms without the meeting space in case you require all the meeting space. What's the expected food and beverage and ancillary revenue spent? Who is the hotel or city we're competing with? So that's really important, is to understand, is like, who are you looking at? What cities are you comparing ourselves to? And then did the group share any history? So those are some key takeaways and key questions that are constantly being asked. And so pattern and pattern management, and we'll go into that in a second a little bit, is really important. So now I have a question for you. I would like you all to pretend you're revenue managers, and you have a 10-room hotel that you're managing, and the 10-room hotel gets two group leads. The group lead number 1, or group A, has 28 rooms, and they're willing to pay $249, and they bring $5,000 in food and beverage revenue. And you can see that the group pattern is up here in yellow. So the yellow is the group pattern of how this group would come in. Group B is 28 rooms at $229 and also spends about $5,000 in food and beverage. You can see the pattern on the right. You see Group B. And then you can see what this hotel was able to do with transient, placing transient on top of the group between Group A and Group B. So which group would you take? B. B. Oh, I have a lot of great revenue managers. B. All right. All right. If a couple of people would join, why you would choose Group B? Achieving 100% of occupancy, more days. Yes. Less holds. Exactly. I love it. More rooms are used, higher occupancy. Transient drives higher rate. Yes, that's true. Not all the time, I have to say, but yes, lots of time transient can drive higher rates. A disrupts the week. Yes, awesome. Thank you, James. Great. Uh-huh. Awesome. Well, you are all amazing revenue managers, so if you like to change careers, let me know, and I might be able to place you somewhere. But yes, it's absolutely true. We would choose Group B, even though it's $20 less from a rate perspective, because of the pattern you can see here, and it's covering more of the shorter time periods, like the Sundays and the Thursdays. We have the ability to actually book more transient rooms. Would you book A at a premium rate? Yes and no. It depends. So like in this example, it's only $20 difference, right? And you can see that with the transient that we have achieved, if you actually do the math behind it, you would have generated more revenue in Group B. But there is examples where we would take Group A. Absolutely. If it's in a specific week where if it's more short term and we have more availability, if we might not plan on selling out, we would take Group A. There's definitely some opportunities where we would take Group A, but in this scenario for the same week, we would probably go with Group B. But yes, there's definitely opportunities where we would take even if it spikes the week out. And so with that being said, any other questions about this A to B scenario? Anything else that we should be considering looking at this? No? Okay, perfect. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go into actually a business review. And so I am going to introduce Melanie. So we're going to review a real world example. We obviously made up the real world example because, we can't use an actually group lead, but we used one and made it our own. And so this case kind of highlights how sales and revenue collaborate and how we look at the group business from a very specific pattern and optimizing space sense. And so we have Melanie Fuller on the phone. She's the Director of Revenue and Co-Commercial Leader at Hilton Anaheim, which is just wrapping up a full renovation and repositioning this year. So if you have not seen the hotel, it looks amazing. She's celebrating 20 years with Hilton, and Melanie's tenure of service began at the front desk and has scaled through reservations and into commercial strategy and leadership. And she is a Hilton Summit Award winner for 2022, which is very prestige award with Hilton. So I'm very proud to say I worked with Melanie for many years, and I'm excited for her to take us through this case study. So Melanie, take it away. I'm going to stop sharing.
Great, wonderful. Well, good morning, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. And essentially what we're going to do is going to give you a peek inside what a daily business review meeting might look like. At the Hilton Anaheim, as a larger hotel, we have this twice a day as well as on demand. So if we have a lead with a short turnaround time, we would jump on the phone. To the point Nicole made earlier, that group is such a priority to us. It's our favorite segment for many reasons, but we want to kind of walk through this. And so welcome into business review. So this is a business review for the Prestige Hotel in Los Angeles, which is a 1,000 guest room hotel with 75,000 square feet of meeting space. In this strategy session, sales and revenue management will collaborate in reviewing this RFP for the Good Company. So the Good Company will be meeting in February of 2027. They will require both guest rooms and meeting space. And here's a snapshot here. So you can see the guest room patterning here as well. The Good Company has a guest room budget range of $199 to $299 and a peak night pattern of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as you can see here. And in the bottom portion, this is a snapshot to give you an idea of what our sales system looks like. So date, day of week across the top, as you can see, our total available rooms, our total definite rooms, our definite bookings are listed here in green. And then prospects are listed in red. So all of our opportunities here. So essentially the total definite group rooms is just a running total of what room nights we have right here. So the Good Company is in their preferred week. You can see that highlighted with their preferred pattern. So 100 rooms Monday, 750 on Tuesday and Wednesday, 600 on Thursday, and 100 rooms on Friday. As you can see that we're not available based on the fact that we already have definite group on the books. So we have 0 rooms available on the 10th. We are, however, available the prior week. This is an open week for us, and we would love to cover this week with group. So as we're looking at this as an opportunity to propose the week prior, we also want to discuss that pattern shift that Nicole had mentioned earlier. Based on the peak night spiking on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we see the opportunity to potentially shift that back by 1 day. So the peak nights would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When we isolate a Monday night, a one night Monday night in most markets is not the most marketable to a transient customer. So we limit our overall patterning for length of stay by isolating the Monday. So when we're able to transition that pattern to a day earlier, we're also able to offer more attractive pricing because there's less displacement. So with that being said, we would put together an offer for this particular pattern for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at a rate of $269. So we're not at the top of the price point of the rate budget for the customer. We're able to offer something a bit more attractive. Also wanted to look at meeting space utilization. So in the original RFP, the breakdown of the space is happening on the Saturday, so in the preferred week, but essentially the last day after all guest rooms, there are actually no guest rooms on the books for that particular night. So the challenge that can happen for the hotel is, as Nicole mentioned, when space is being utilized, but there are no guest rooms, the next question is, how would we sell those guest rooms? Do we have the demand on a transient basis to sell all of those guest rooms on the Saturday night, as well as what local catering opportunities might we have on a Saturday evening or all through the day, for example? So ideally, what we would like to see is meeting space teardown to be completed earlier in the pattern. So Friday evening, for example. So with our proposal, we would address the Friday and propose, and actually let me transition to the week prior because we've now shifted this by a day a week, by 1 day. But going into this proposal, we would propose that teardown happen by 11 p.m. on a Thursday in order to free up that Friday to either layer some additional group with that meeting space or to make that available to some local catering. So we understand on the hotel side that this can present some challenges from an overtime expense with the customer. So we want to partner. We want a mutual win. So we would definitely approach this with some flexibility on food and beverage, minimums, rental, etc., in order to partner to offset some of that potential overtime that would be incurred with 11 p.m. teardown on the Thursday. So additionally, we want to talk about an alternative option that would give the preferred day of week patterning, as well as the requested meeting space breakdown. So we always want to approach a few scenarios. So how can we create the best line of options for a customer and the best outcome for both the meeting and for the hotel? So with that being said, I'm going to present another option, which is another week, but it's also in February. So we understand that the goal is to meet in February. This week that we're looking at here is a holiday week. So President's Week is on the Monday, excuse me, President's Day is on the Monday, which is historically a lower demand week, which when history drives that decision and pricing, it allows us to be empowered to be more flexible. So if we understand that it's very unlikely we would have high demand on a Monday holiday, because most people on a long weekend, they travel on a leisure basis, they stay on Sunday, but they depart on Monday. And very few business travelers are traveling on a Monday night. That's a holiday. So with that being said, when we're looking at the potential displacement by isolating the Monday, it's really a non-issue on a holiday Monday. So that being said, in this proposal, we're providing the option for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night peak. We're also including in the proposal the requested tear down of the day after the guest rooms have departed, because again, we have more flexibility based on this business landing in a historically more quiet week. And with this particular week, we would propose a rate of $199. Therefore, you can see where we're able to be more flexible in meeting the rate budget within both scenarios, but also showing some savings by covering a week that's traditionally lower in demand. All right. With
Also,
that said,
Melanie,
go.
before we go,
Sure.
anybody have any questions about this business review? Does it make sense? Is it logical to what we're looking at from an approach perspective? So one of the questions, do you do this for every RFP? No, we do not. So it always depends on the size of the business, the size of the hotel, and the size of the group we're proposing. I'll give you an example. So if you are having a proposal for a 50-room group on a Friday, Saturday, and a hotel is like 500 rooms, likely we set rates for that, and the sales manager is able to propose very easily, unless it's taken a lot of space, like the rooms to space ratio is off, or it's like it has a specific budget that might not fall in the guidelines that we're giving. But for a lot of these big leads, we do business reviews on a daily basis, yes, because it's very important to not just communicate what the lead is, but also like to communicate with the other sales managers potentially that have another lead sitting into the same week. So what you can see, for example, here, you see Next Gen International Tour, which the international tour might not be impacting your lead, but that communication also will happen at business reviews. Any other questions before we go into a quiz? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melanie. All right. So how we play this quiz before I go into it is we have 3 questions and a bonus question. We will show the question and I will read the question on the screen, and I will say go to answer it in the chat. We'll have prizes, and if you win the first one, you are unfortunately disqualified for the second and the third one. So we'll give a few people some chances, and so we'll get going. All right. How does revenue support sales? A, by setting static annual rates. B, by blocking group business. Or C, by providing fast and strategic support. All right, lots of C's. All right, on this first question, the one who was the fastest wins, and that's Amy Fink. And Amy, what you won is you won a, sorry. Am I getting this right? Yeah, Amy Fink. And your price is 2 nights at the Hilton Anaheim from upgraded room type, including breakfast, being utilized in the next 12 months. So congratulations, Amy. Amy, if I will have to write down your name really quickly to make sure I am getting this right. And we need to make sure we get your contact information after this call. All right. So the next question will not be, it's not the fastest, and Amy, you cannot win again. It will be a random pick, and it's going to be whoever answers at the 5th spot. So it's like going to be a little bit more tricky. And question number 2 is, which is a shared KPI between sales and revenue? A, CPC, B, RevPAR, or C, email open rate? All right, number 5. I need to like count this now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I get this right, hold on. It went 1, 2, 3. Holly Schlink. Holly Schlink, you are the winner of our second prize. And our second prize is actually another stay at Sakari Dunes, which is a courier resort at the beach near Ventura County. And I am really excited to share that price with you. So let me just get your name down so I don't get myself confused here. Oh. All right. All right. Question number 3. When should revenue be involved in group leads? After the contract is signed, when the event is on site, before quoting, and the price goes to the 10th person answering. All right. I'm glad I'm good at counting. I think I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And Nicole, I've joined to help you count this.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can focus on the subject at hand. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think Heike Tiemann is the 10th answer, just to make sure that we're getting this right.
Yes,
and
thank
for
you.
everybody who's winning, we're going to reach out to you to make sure that we're tracking you to make sure that you get your prize delivered to you. So
awesome.
No worries.
And Heike, you are going to the Hilton Santa Barbara resort in Santa Barbara. Had just a really great renovation for the pool, so very excited for that. And thank you for participating. All right, we have a bonus question. This is not about knowing, this is just about luck. And the bonus question is, you just have to choose the right answer that I chose.
And Nicole, before, is there a prize for this one as well?
There is a prize for that one. And there is to this price, it's like you have to wait to travel a little bit. We're doing a really great conversion in one of our hotels in Napa. And it's going to become a Curio hotel, one of the most amazing renovations I've ever seen. However, you won't be traveling until 2026. So that's
a big prize. So that it's always helpful to know what the prize is so people can really ready to type. So just to build the drum roll there.
Thank you.
All right,
And
what's the bonus question?
the bonus questions is this, you just have to choose one of these and it's just luck. Just choose A, B, or C, or 1, 2, or 3. And I will tell you what the answer is after you've chosen.
And just for the record, I'm seeing that 1 is C, 2 is B, and 3 is also C. So
Right. So that was the answers of the previous questions, right? So we're just doing a random one, and I will pick a random person. I will just call out a name that chose the right answer. Because again,
Okay.
it's just luck. This is just luck. All right.
I think all our answers are in. Do you
All
want to
right.
do that?
Yes. Karen votes. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It was number 2. I chose number 2 as the random answer.
Karen Gould.
You are going to Napa.
Oh my gosh. Well, look at that. I should have taken part in this.
Yes. And so
I removed myself for fairness sake.
we have one more, and it's a participation one. And I will announce that at the end. So the next thing is we're going to Q&A, and we'll take some key takeaways. And then there is one more prize at the end, and it's just random participation. I've seen lots of people participate, and it's just random somebody, and that person is going to the Conrad, New York. All right.
We had a couple questions come in. Do you want me to toss them your way?
Sure, we can. Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, at this point, the chat is open if you want to ask those questions. But we had one come in from Lauren Goff in our Q&A section. And Lauren was asking if AI has become integrated into your toolbox.
Yes, it has. It definitely has, but not the artificial intelligence that you know as like ChatGPT, right? More so the analytics of things have been starting to be integrating to make our lives a little easier, so that when you pull data points together, it can give you a little bit more of a comprehensive understanding. But it's not necessarily like doing the work for us at this point.
Got it. Here's another one. Heike Tiemann asks, does revenue take into consideration repeat groups or partnerships?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of our key aspects at Hilton is repeat business is one of the most components that we look at. Multi-years. So if you're looking for more than 1 or 2 years, we might be taking you for a year that might not be the best outcome for us. But if it's the other 2 years are really good from a comparison perspective, yes, we absolutely do. And again, repeat business is one of those things that we really focus on, because I think it's important to create a relationship with our partners.
Excellent. Another Q came in through the Q&A function. What are top 3 things meeting planners should add to initial RFP to help expedite the revenue review so they can get their proposals faster?
Yes, I think it's if you're flexible on dates, right? Sometimes we only get RFPs with just one date. And if we don't have that date, we still try to propose a different date. But if you're flexible and in weeks, that's really important. If we can get some history, like where you stayed before, that's really important as well. That we don't see that on all the RFPs. And then, yeah, again, flexibility to pattern obviously would help as well. But dates, history, and then, the detailed approach of like load in and load out where you've been, that helps as well.
Excellent. Let's see. We have some other ones. Oh, what are some concessions you prefer not to include, but will if it helps? This is from Amy Fink.
Okay. I think like something that Melanie was mentioning before, right? Helping with potentially overtime pay. If we want to shrink down how much time you have to tear down or build up. I think I wouldn't start off with a food and beverage discount, but that might be something we can leverage later on. So things like that depends on the volume of the business and what it's worth to us.
Got it. Here's the one. When is it appropriate to push back on a revenue decision, and how should sales approach that conversation?
It's always a conversation. I always say it's like sometimes we have conflict, right? Sometimes we have 2 different opinions, and we always approach it with the data-driven mindset. And I can tell you from my own experience as a revenue manager, I liked sales managers who said, hey, but I think we should consider this, this, and this, and here's why. If you come with data to a revenue manager, there's always an open door for communication. And I think that's actually, it's healthy. It's very healthy.
Excellent. Here's one from Brittany. Hotel next door to pro sports arena. How do you manage high demand rates, sports, concerts, etc., and then fill a hotel when no major events are scheduled? Because hotel demand is heavily dictated by the arena next door.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's like I look at it from a perspective of you fill those time periods with either with group, with business travelers, potentially. You try to find different pieces of business. Tour series, anything else that might not be aligned to the demand driver where you can drive high rates might be that sports arena. But I can tell you out of my own experience, I have a couple hotels that are close to arenas. They drive it to other things, government travel, other groups. They go after and find business that matches their need periods.
Excellent. And then I had one sent in from Prestige earlier. What tools or systems do you recommend for improving communication between sales and revenue teams?
I think that's an interesting one. I don't know that we need. I think it's all about data, right? Like at the end of the day, it's like making data simple and saying, the reason why like revenue managers might tell you, hey, we can't take this group here is because historically speaking, we filled this week with demand drivers X, Y, and C, right? So always speaking to data, but I think it's also given the opportunity to be flexible and saying, hey, this week, not a great week to put this piece of business, but the week prior or the week after, absolutely. So it's always about giving options and communication from that side. But I think it's coming from, again, going back from the point of like the data point, right? And the hotel revenue managers, again, we really try to like at Hilton work through of like, it's a collaboration, right? Sometimes you get it right. Sometimes you actually don't get it right. Like, it's every week changes and we take historic information and we take what we know. But it's all about collaboration and just having open, honest conversations.
Excellent. And I'm going to put you on the spot for one last question. Can you share a real world example, speaking of this collaboration between sales and revenue that led to better outcomes for both parties? Can you think of an example of that?
Yeah, I think we do this almost on a daily basis, right? It's like understanding that the sales manager might have a specific goal for hotel, right? They have their personal goals that they want to achieve too. But the revenue manager is really more like leading the conversation of the overall hotel goal. And I can tell you is that when we find pieces of business that might not be ideal where the customer wants them to be, but we have conversations with the customer to say, hey, I would love your business. We have this open week. If you can make it here, we can fit your budget, and the sales managers can, obviously make their goal with that. It works in all parties, right? So it's like it's all about like that collaboration and making sure that we speak to our customers the same way we speak within internally to a certain extent, and tell them, hey, this is just unfortunately not the week we can take you with your budget, but we would love to find a time periods where we can, and we would like to make it work for you.
Excellent. Well, I feel like that's a great way to kind of conclude this conversation. And this was so interesting, Nicole. And obviously, if folks want to get in touch with you, please contact your Prestige account manager. They're the ones who can put you in touch and be that liaison for. And of course, if we haven't reached out to you, and I know we've noted the folks who won those hotel stays, make sure that you connect with your Prestige account manager for that. And if folks are writing in thanking you because this was such great insights on how hotels look at groups and set things based on that. So everyone is praising this presentation. So Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And I hope we get to see you again.
Yes, and again, I have one more prize to give away.
Well, that's right.
So,
okay, before we let you go, let's do that giveaway.
And I am choosing Lauren Jacobson.
Okay,
So
and
Lauren,
what is that prize?
The prize is Conrad, New York, 2 nights at Conrad, New York. So very exciting hotel. Also like one of our newer hotels in the portfolio. So very excited for you, Lauren. And again, I think Sasha took notes on all the winners, and we will make sure we get all the gift certificates out to you. Again, if there's anything else you want to know about revenue management, I am here to help with any answering questions or whatnot, Prestige can share my information. And thank you for having me. I'm really excited. This was really exciting for me as well, and I'm glad I was able to answer some questions.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being here. I'm going to let you go, Nicole, and I'm going to remind everybody that next month we have another really exciting presentation coming up from Tim Altbaum from Vario Production, the AI playbook for event professionals, tools, tactics, and transformation. AI is a huge question that's on everybody's mind. Is going to be a great way to learn a little bit more about that. And of course, to see our full webinar lineup, just scan the QR code on screen. I'm going to leave it up before I let everybody go. But remember, if you want to see a specific subject to be covered, let your Prestige account manager know. Let us know any feedback, things that are working for you, things that we could do better. We're always looking to improve. We love having these interactive formats. And of course, Cammie's asking me, is there a replay? She was interrupted. Every one of our webinars is recorded and then is posted on the Prestige Global YouTube channel. So you can always go back and see the full presentation, share it with folks who didn't have a chance to see it with us today. So until next time, I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to put that QR code on the screen, and we'll see you all over in June. Bye, everybody.